Hey, and welcome to another episode of AT Banter.
Banter.
Hey, this is, of course, the podcast where we talk with advocates and members of the disability community to educate and inspire better conversation about disability. Hey, my name is Rob Minot, and joining me today, look who it is, the master of disaster. It is master cowbell player extraordinaire. It is you want to be like him, but you can't. It's Mr. Ryan Fleury.
I'm back, everybody.
And hey, look who else it is. It's Liz.
Me llamo es Liz.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. It's Liz Malone. Look at that. Welcome.
El still me llamo es Liz.
Yeah, all right.
Hey, I started doing Duolingo. I'm trying to learn a little Espanol.
How are you?
I suck at it. I'm terrible. My pronunciation is horrible.
Yeah, whenever in my life, whenever I've tried to pick up a second language, I've gotten really like enthusiastic about it, and then after about 2 weeks, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not made for another language.
But you know what? You don't need to do that now because you have like AI translation built into like Meta Ray-Bans and apps on your phone.
I don't know. There's something about knowing another language and being able to like chat with people. I don't think it's the same.
Okay, I'm just lazy.
Somebody through your sunglasses.
I just want to be able to communicate better with my non-English speaking Uber and Lyft drivers.
That makes sense.
Because that happens. And sometimes it just takes too long to go through and open up the Google Translate app or something, you know?
Right.
Sure.
And, you know, so that is really
A use case scenario.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that was what motivated me to do it. However, you know, learning how to say I eat apples is not necessarily going to help me.
You never know.
Yeah. Where is the library? No, I learned, like, I think in university that I was just like, yeah, my brain is not big enough to hold more than one language at a time. Like, I'd have to do a complete English wipe and then maybe I could learn French. But
We need like the Matrix plugin, you know?
yeah, exactly. But who knows? Maybe we'll get there. Listen. Could
We'll all
happen.
have AI bots to just speak for us.
Yeah, maybe. If we can make enough RAM. But that's a whole other podcast.
It is indeed.
Well, great. How's everybody? Real quick before we get started. Speaking of AI, I'm excited for the show, but yeah, how's everyone doing?
Good.
Okay, great. That was that segment. Okay. I'm just kidding.
Muy bien. Mucho gusto.
Muy bueno.
Bonus nachos.
Oh
See what I
my.
See? Now
we just insulted half our audience.
I know. Well, maybe a quarter.
Oh, okay. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry. Yeah, we apologize. No,
I'm legitimately trying to learn.
Good.
okay.
Good for
Well,
you.
listen. Good
We're
luck.
proud
You'll
of
have to
you.
give us a weekly update. We'll check in with you. You've now figured out hello, or was
And
that
you-
hello?
Hola.
Yeah, and so probably in a month we'll get you to do the intro in Spanish.
Hey, there you go.
I need a little more than a month.
Well, you can memorize it, right?
I'm going to do a synthesized voice and have it to get the pronunciations right.
The cheat. All right. Well, in any case, let's get started with the show.
Let's do it.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes, Rob.
would you do the honors and tell the fine folks at home just what the heck we're doing today?
Absolutely. And I'm excited about today's show because there's a lot of talk about AI and voice interaction going on right now. And so our guest today is Andrew Gillies. He is founder of Guide, which is an AI-powered assistant for Windows. Andrew, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Ryan, Rob, and Liz. Great to meet y'all.
Mucho gusto.
I was going to say, I can't top bonus nachos, but
There you go. It's okay. We love talking about AI. on the show. We've talked about it at great lengths in the past 2 years. So maybe just to get us started, tell us a little bit about yourself and what exactly your role is at.
Yeah. So Guide is, like you said, Guide is a AI assistant for Windows for those with blindness or low vision, and it helps them navigate inaccessible content. So if you're using a screen reader and some developer made a piece of software, but the main button you need to click actually isn't in the index, and the screenwriter can't get at it, then a Guide is able to um, take a message from you, maybe click that button by taking control of the mouse or keyboard briefly, and then kind of speak back to you what it's doing. I started Guide back in early 2025. I mean, the inklings of it were late 2024 when I started seeing some of the AI services that were coming out and the improvements that were happening. And I started to think like I had done some work with accessibility standards and screen readers. And I knew that there was a lot to be desired, or issues where, a lot of software and websites were not really made to spec. So I thought it was an interesting opportunity. And then so started messing around with it, talking to people, doing some tests with people, and people started finding it pretty useful. So I founded Guide. I'm CEO. I'm working with a friend of mine, Nick, who's CTO, and we're building out the product.
Tell us a little bit more about the sort of the genesis of all of this. Was there an aha moment that you had where you're just like, yes, we can really sort of leverage AI to really try to fill in some of the accessibility gaps that are still hounding the internet?
Yeah, so sure, I'll give you a little more detail. So there were European accessibility guidelines that were being put in place last year, and so I was working at Amazon at the time, actually, way back, and was kind of working on that, helping parts of Amazon.com hit the compliance spec, and it was really cool because for the first time, companies were required to pay attention, and get to spec because there was a big regulatory body that was requiring it, which was really cool because I've worked at a few companies, and there's different, varying levels of how much focus and resources different places dedicate to accessibility. So it was really great that finally, like, a regulatory body was enforcing some of these WCAG standards. And so anyway, I'm working on this. I'm trying to get parts of that site compliant. And then I'm also watching all the news, right? Like we all are. And then I saw for the first time some of this, what they call the computer use tools, where the AI services were able to actually, like, look at your computer, see what's going on, and take, make a click coordinate and press a key for you. And it wasn't working very well. And and when it first got announced, I think people were like, "Oh, this is, it's a interesting prototype, but it doesn't really work very very well at all." And that's true. But I thought, hey, this is just going to get better. So I decided to start building.
I have to admit that, when I first saw the product and started digging into it, on the one hand, I was really excited, but then on the other hand, it actually really makes me mad that,
Yeah.
that a product like this still has to exist, especially years and years of awareness campaigns, awareness days, legislation, our own legislation. I mean, this is all of these accessibility standards are all baked in, yet it seems like it's still so difficult to get like web forms or online booking sites or fill in the blank. Everything from any sort of online system to be 100% accessible. It seems like it's really still difficult. What's your take on that? Like, why do you think things are still so inaccessible?
Yeah, I think I think it's a few things, but it really comes down to legislation and enforcement, I would say. Um, if great, we determine what the web standards are, everybody agrees what an accessible piece of software looks like. Some companies will be great stewards of that. Some will be poor stewards of that. Ideally, the big companies are good stewards of that, but that's not, as you know, not always true, and often actually not true. And maybe some small company out there who's just getting started, who maybe doesn't have anyone in their life with disabilities, doesn't really understand it, and they never even knew they had to look at it. So I think there just needs to be more of enforcement, because if you don't have any kind of body that's sort of any check and balance on it, then how is any company going to keep up with it, right? If they don't feel like they have to, or maybe they're not aware of it, or maybe they're just worried about their business. I don't know, but without that, I would worry that the improvements we all want to see will get made.
Well, and it sounds like, really what we need here is exactly what they're doing in Europe. We need a regulatory body with enforcement. And I think that really, realistically, that's really the only way to get a lot of these developers to pay attention to it. We just have to mandate it.
Yeah, and the way I've seen it happen in the last maybe 20 years, and uh, Canada or the US, is just lawsuits, right? There's been a few famous ones. One was like some, Domino's website wasn't accessible,
Right.
and someone who was blind couldn't order pizza, and then actually started a lawsuit. Um, but that the lawsuit takes a lot of resources. It's like not everybody can start a lawsuit when something
Right.
doesn't work for them. So then how do we create maybe an organization where there's some collective bargaining or ability to like throw up class action lawsuits when things are not working.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we do know that, really strict regulations like the UK or Europe implemented have affected change. If it was them that really forced Apple's hand into putting USB-C into their iPhones, right? Everybody else had kind of adopted that standard, but Apple was still holding out. And now we have USB-C on our iPhones.
Yeah, exactly. Mine's still too old, so it doesn't matter. But next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the real problem with this is that more and more, I mean, heck, this was true 10 years ago, but it's even worse now, is that we really live a digital online life. Almost everything that you want to do, if you want to book a trip, if you want to sign up for a trivia night, if you want to, check your, whatever your particular city's um, events and stuff like that, we do that all online. Online banking, all of these things are online. And so really accessibility is just becoming more and more and more of a real problem for folks that are just out to live their day-to-day life.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's like the technology should be, advancing and getting better,
You
but
think?
your lived life may not map to that if you're doing more things with the technology. That's super interesting point.
Yeah.
And then, of course, app developers release an update which breaks the accessibility they had in the first place. So there need to be checks and balances in place at the development stage before it even gets
Yeah.
released. Look what happened. I don't know if you guys follow WhatsApp, but WhatsApp was very, very accessible. And they released an update which totally changed the interface and kind of screwed all the blind users using screen readers. And so that's slowly being rebuilt, and accessibility has improved. But it just goes to show that if it's not implemented through every stage of development, something's going to fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you've seen these, a lot of layoffs at tech companies in the last few years, and yeah, and I was just thinking, what would it? Because oftentimes, accessible like teams that are working on accessibility I've seen get hit by those layoffs,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so that's exactly how something like that can happen, right? You've got all these people advocating internally, So the app is good, and then they get laid off, and then nobody's looking at it anymore. And you have to keep looking at it constantly as you add new features or change things. So I think I'm trying to think the only thing that would maybe change that is I think it just goes back to legislation, because
Yeah.
then you have to have some VP or something is making a decision on who to lay off, and they're not going to be. They would be more afraid to lay off that team. It hates, maybe it's cynical to say it that way, but if there were more regulations protecting the accessible software output.
Yeah, and I think that, the other challenge too is that, so much, websites these days, nobody builds their website from the ground up. Everybody's on a platform, and those platforms are, CMSs or content management systems. And so they're building their website using those tools. And if those tools aren't putting out accessible code, that's when you get things like, broken forms, because if you're on Wix or you're on Squarespace, you're on WordPress, and their form isn't built to accessibility standards and isn't working, or the buttons aren't labeled or whatever, the organizations, I mean, they don't have any, they don't have any necessarily control over that web form unless they really dig in and hire a web developer to sort of build custom code and such. But so I think that in a lot of cases, and I'm sure app development is similar. You're using tools that aren't necessarily built for accessibility, and the organization, I mean, they don't know, they don't know anything, right? So I think that's another sort of challenge in sort of the landscape of what it's like to build an app or a website.
And that's
Yeah,
why we need a
definitely.
product like Guide.
Exactly. So, which is a great segue. So let's move on and let's actually talk a little bit about guides. So can you give us a little bit of a use case and explain exactly how it might work for a user?
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you an example of someone who kind of messaged me about something that worked for them. That was just a kind of simple one. So um, one of Guide's users opened up their Steam app one day, and suddenly everything was in Chinese. And so they don't know how it got there, but for some reason it was in Chinese. And unfortunately, they hadn't been on Duolingo learning Chinese. So it was like really difficult to find, the language selector as it is. So they opened up Guide, which is a little Windows app that they had installed, and they typed in, "Hey, can you help me change the language to English?" And then Guide, what it does is it takes a look at your screen just through screenshots, and tries to find what buttons are available, and then create a plan to go do that action. So in this case, it was able to find the language selector, which helped because it can understand many languages. Um, Clicked it, and then clicked English. So a series of clicks right after. So the idea is just when you've hit something where you're kind of hung up or the software isn't accessible and you just have a roadblock that you need a quick help with unblocking. I've heard some people have said, "Hey, this is great. I can do some things where, one of our users was also a podcast host, and the podcast recording software that he was using, the stop recording button he was not accessible, so he couldn't stop his recordings without the help of a sighted person. And so Guide now helps him do that, click stop, and kind of move along by himself.
And I'll be the first to step up and say I actually downloaded and tried the software yesterday. And I was saying to Robin this earlier, an audio interface that has software that no screen reader will read anything on the screen. And so I couldn't change audio buffer settings. I couldn't change sample rates. I couldn't route audio where I wanted it. I couldn't do anything. And so I used it to basically tell me what was on the screen, and it did. It said top section was this, bottom was this. It read to me the labels of the items that were there. And I said, okay, open up the buffer settings. It clicked on the buffer settings. I said, change it to 16. It changed it to 16. It confirmed all that. And I said to Rob earlier, this is a game changer. This was amazing because I would have had to have sighted assistance to do any of that. But then I tried another software and that was mixed results. So welcome to the world of AI.
Right.
But it was great. I couldn't have done that without a tool like yours. So thank you for that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for giving it a try. And I like to hear the honest feedback as well, where I think it's good to call out right now, which is some things and some software it's going to work and may not even be every time, right? You may have tried a different function in that first piece of software and then maybe it didn't work. And then some it's not. But one thing that's been pretty interesting to watch is if, some people tried it a year ago. I found some things that worked for and some that didn't, but because of the models just improving, I've seen that it's able to do more and more things every few months as we update the models, just from the model companies competing and updating their models. So it's been pretty interesting to watch. So maybe in 4 or 5 months you try it on that software again, and hopefully it works.
Well, I definitely will. And this piece of software, it's called Guitar Rig Pro 7. And so it, from what I've read, has really no accessibility frameworks, tools, whatever built in. And so Guide really, really tried. Guide would come back and say, I've clicked on the scroll wheel to try and scroll down through the presets. That's not working, so let me try this. It would try that. No, that didn't work either, so let me try. It was very persistent in trying to do what I asked it to do. And at the end of the day, it couldn't do it. So I don't know if it's the AI, if it's the program and the way it was built, which is the way I'm leaning. So yeah, there's going to be roadblocks.
Yeah, I'm sure, it could be both. It could be the tool's just not there yet. It's interesting because audio software is famously difficult from what I hear anyway. Like people, I'm not an audio software expert, but I get people sending me all these applications all the time saying, hey, I tried it with so-and-so. And it's because they always have all these weird UI components where they're trying to represent the physical world in software. And it's right. Just, they don't use standard stuff. So they don't get any of the benefit of standard accessibility text built in.
Yeah, but it is coming. There were, it definitely read to me things on the screen that I didn't know were there because NVDA or JAWS wouldn't see them. I couldn't navigate to them. So it did some stuff really well. So it's getting there.
Well, I mean, heck, I think it's just amazing that we're here. Like we're in a place where something that would just be functionally unusable, 5 years ago, you would have just been screwed. You just would not have even had a shot at being able to operate that independently. Right. And now, you at least have a chance. So, I think that is really amazing. But, but Andrew, we've talked to a lot of developers who are using AI in a lot of their products. And the question that I always ask, because AI is such a rapidly evolving field, because they're constantly updating these models, is that a bit of a challenge for you? Having a product that's based solely on using AI, or does it make it a little bit more robust because there are always sort of changes coming down the pipe?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I was just listening to a podcast from someone who works at Anthropic, who helped kind of develop their big, popular Claude Code tool now. And he was saying some companies try to put all these gates and walls on the AI for their particular use case. And then that makes it really hard when things change for them to kind of keep that quality. And he said that it doesn't often drive a measurable difference, or maybe it drives like a 5% positive improvement for their use case. And then the new model comes out and then it breaks and they have to build a bunch of stuff again. And he's like, well, we see the teams that are kind of just trusting the model a little bit more or having an easier time. And so I do think as the AI models get better, it's actually great for Guide, and it's not that hard to keep up with them. We just kind of get a bunch of improvements, for free in a way every time it comes out, and it's always interesting. Like, oh, what's going to work now that didn't before, if anything at all. And so it's just really interesting to watch, and I get kind of excited every time there's a new model. Like, oh, maybe something will get better. And I can only, we can only test so many things, and when we bring it out to the community, we see that, like, oh, okay, people can actually see measurable improvements for things that I would have never thought of trying to use Guide with. So I find it exciting. I think we find it exciting. I think it's more challenging for big companies probably to move quickly on these updates and try to keep up. We're kind of riding the wave and getting the improvements as they come.
Right.
With Guide, did you go through a lot of different testing of models to find one that worked best for the multitude of tasks you're asking AI to perform?
Yeah, so we are always trying out the new models. So initially, the Anthropic was the first company to really invest in these computer use tools. Now, OpenAI has started to more, Gemini has started to more a little bit. And we've found that, and we're also just tracking their performance against the benchmarks. And so we found until now that Anthropic, we believe, works best for most of these cases. However, we're open to changing that. We're open to trying different models for different types of queries.
Right.
We've even set up, some test harnesses for like the OpenAI models, for example. But we've just seen a better performance for Anthropic so far for this use case.
Would there be an option for users of the software at some point, maybe, or on the roadmap, to be able to switch which AI they want to use?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea. I think there's probably a lot of things that Guide could open up as for power users who kind of understand things and are maybe a little more technical or keeping up with the news. I think, and definitely a lot of Guide's users are that way. So it's something to consider. But one principle and tenet we've tried to abide to so far is making it kind of simple to set up so that you don't have to, like, someone who's not so technical could download and use this tool pretty easily. But I could see us having more of the like power user settings in the future where there's a lot more customization like that.
Yeah, it was dead simple. I think all I did was download it, install it, click next. It put me into a chat window. I typed in what I wanted and it went and did it. It was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Steve. You're listening to the AT Banter podcast, and I'm not just a podcast host, I'm also president and owner of Canadian Assistive Technology. Did you know that Canadian Assistive Technology prides itself on having the largest and most extensive product line of assistive technology in Canada? We believe in giving our customers the greatest amount of choice because finding the right solution can make all the difference. Our wide array of products cover a spectrum of needs. Whether you're looking for low vision aids like CCTVs or optical magnifiers or comprehensive blindness solutions, we've got you covered. We also offer hearing amplification solutions, alerting systems for people who are deaf, mobility canes, physical access aids, communication aids for the nonverbal, some products to support people living with dementia, and specialized digital accessible signage to make public spaces more accessible. We also have what we call our gently used marketplace for more reasonably priced options on consignment items. Plus, we have demo equipment available. Our goal is to provide all the custom accessibility solutions you need. Explore the possibilities today and visit us online at www.canastech.com or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. And now, back to the show.
Yeah, and so we should also make it really clear that, this isn't necessarily something that you're going to use as a screen reader.
Oh yeah, for sure. So like you said, it's not a screen reader. We have people using JAWS and VDA with it um, simultaneously while it's working. So you can even hear, like, you ask Guide to do something, it starts working, it clicks on something, and you get the NVDA message about what it clicked. So and definitely it doesn't replace screen reader tasks. I think it's still pretty, even if you tried to use it for everything, for example, it's still slower than just doing it yourself with the screen reader for like most things that in your day-to-day that already work pretty well. So we do have the Guide has its own voice. So by default, it's using cloud voice and reading out to you what it's doing. So your screen reader voice lives simultaneously. We've recently also added a feature for the SAP to use the built-in SAPI voices on Windows if you've kind of configured that and want to use your local voice that you already have. And then there's a third option if you are an NVDA user to have Guide just work through the NVDA library. So that also works. It's a little, I don't love that mode because sometimes NVDA will choose to not, if we send 3 or 4 sentences of context, we might get chopped off because we're no longer in control of what volume plays. So it can be a lot sometimes when you've got the two voices kind of going at the same time. And that's something that we would love to improve in the future, but it's a hard nut to crack.
Yeah, you almost need like a verbosity level setting, like low, medium, and high to get the amount of information you actually want back. Because I don't necessarily need to know, I've moved to the top left-hand corner and clicked the button. Now I've clicked the drop-down menu, and now I'm scrolling down through the menu items, right? Sometimes I may just want to do the task.
Yeah, definitely. And so we started really verbose. We got that feedback a lot. Now it's less verbose.
Yeah.
But actually, that is a feature we want to add. It's not we've got that request before. I'm curious for your own experience when you tested if you found it too much, too little.
I didn't, because I was experimenting with it to see what it was actually going to do, how it was going to do it, and how it was going to give me the feedback as to what it was doing. So I really enjoyed hearing everything it was actually doing, being totally blind, not seeing anything, and not having any feedback from the screen reader. It was really interesting to know it was moving, it read was in the top left-hand section, and it clicked the buffer setting button, right? Like, it just gave me a tour of the application, and I was just really blown away. I was really impressed by that because, again, without sighted assistance or access with a screen reader, I have no idea what's on the screen, how to navigate to specific item, if it is a button, if it's a scroll, a menu, it described everything. It was great.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. Does the application run any risk of piercing any privacy barricades on any of these sites? So, like, for example, on your website, I saw you had like a little YouTube video where you were booking an airline ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you were to be using a site and you're booking an airline ticket, it's a great example. And here you are. Now you're entering in your credit card information and things like that. Because it's not like a screen reader that sort of exists as a program in your hardware, and this is something that's pulling information like an app. And I'm not as techie as these guys are, so excuse me if I'm sounding as big of an idiot as I am with this sometimes. But does this in any way breach any of the security when people are using something like this? Like, can they feel really safe? Like, what if you're doing something with your online banking account and there's something that you're not able to get access to, or is this really something that you should consider just using for things where security should not be an as something that isn't super high risk?
Yeah, that's a great question, Liz. So first of all, I think we, you know, as with some of these AI tools, we say, and we have kind of a screen when you first open the app that says, "Hey, here's other things we don't think you should use Guide for." Um, and it's some of the things you just said. Like if you're entering a password that's visible on the screen, if you're entering a credit card, if you're maybe in a banking app where your account number may be visible or anything like that, we recommend you don't use Guide for that. And the reason is not only you know privacy and security. Well, but like imagine you said, "Hey, help me transfer $10 from my account to my you know spouse's account or something," and then Guide accidentally adds three zeros. Um, so so I think there are certain use cases where we want to be really careful, and so I would say we say you use it in software that you already trust, um, and that doesn't have that level of private information visible on the screen at the time. And so it's not like it's taking a video of your screen always. It's only taking screenshots well after you've asked it to do something, and then once it does a ding at the end when it stops taking the action, and at that point there are no more screenshots would be taken. Um, and also, so you may ask as a follow-up question, like what happens to these screenshots? So I think I just want to explain that a little bit too. So we take these screenshots, we send them up to the AI models that we're solely using Anthropic right now. So that's the company that is also handling this data, and we don't store them. So we don't have copies of people's screenshots at all. So the only place that does have any copy would be Anthropic, and they said in their terms of service are that they only keep the screenshots for up to 90 days for analytics and logging and things like that. So they're not using it for training. They're not using it for any other analytics or sharing it with anyone else. So that's how we keep it. But yeah, I just maybe out of an abundance of caution, we don't recommend using it for any of those scenarios. Which I have heard, some people are a little frustrated by because it's some of those things are often also inaccessible, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, but that's an even bigger case for these things are so sensitive in terms of privacy, then those things should be rock solid accessible.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about the development process, because I think you said that you started this project in early 2025. Is that right?
Yeah, a little like maybe, did some research in December, November 2024. But yeah, started kind of playing with early versions around early 2025.
So that's a pretty quick development cycle. Talk to me a little bit about how that was. How did you find it?
Yeah, I guess if looking back, I probably did make a kind of early prototype in the fall 2024. Yeah, because before I went to testing, I did have a version that was working that I was kind of showing people. So we had an early version that we thought was interesting enough to kind of show the idea, and then we did some user research sessions with folks with vision impairments. And so I was just trying to decide, hey, does this have enough potential, or is this going to be useful enough? Um, and people were really excited by the idea of it. So that gave us the confidence to kind of move forward. And then just from some of those early people we talked to, we ended up pulling together like a Slack community and getting a bunch of feedback and sharing all the early builds. And then I think we did a public launch in kind of March or April. And so we've been just sort of iterating and improving and adding things ever since then.
So then it sounds like the community um, is really super important when it came to development, and it sounds like it's still something that's really really important now, even upon release.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think the most valuable things we get are emails and Slack messages from people with, both problems they're facing or improvements they wish the app had, or hey, can we get on a call so I can talk you through my problem? Some of the users are send me videos of them trying to do something and it not working, so I can fully understand. And without that, I don't think it would be at the point where it was, as usable as it was today. Um, like as a sighted person, I'm gonna miss things, and so this is just invaluable to making this product better.
So when it came to developing the product, because it really is AI driven, did you find that that kind of sped up the development process at all?
So it's interesting, right? Because nowadays it's all in the news about how AI coding is really powerful and changing software development, and that's all true, definitely. But I think something changed, and it's been useful for a few years, but it wasn't until maybe November or last year where things really started to change. November, December, where like the model started getting good enough to really change the process. So I think it definitely helped back then because it was sort of a new resource that was available to help experiment, code things, get ideas on things. Um, but nowadays, new features can be added definitely faster because of the AI tools and the capabilities.
Right.
It's been pretty crazy to see as someone who's been working on software for quite a long time, um, how good some of these tools have gotten.
Well, and it's I know it's a double-edged sword. I'm sure there are a lot of developers and programmers and stuff out there that aren't, that this is very scary. But the flip side of that is that it also allows for some fairly speedy development on some ideas that people have, like this. And in people, small teams can kind of pull the trigger on something, develop it, and get it out the door in a timely manner. These are really things, given the state of accessibility, certainly in that framing, we definitely need more programs, more apps like this out there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think over time you will start to see more apps that, in the past maybe were considered niche use cases, even though they're not. Um, and some people may see them that way, and so I think you'll start to see more software for that kind of thing going forward. Um, but we were kind of catching that wave, but early on, it was still a lot of not AI driven development.
Right, right, sure. So just in general, like what are your thoughts in terms of how do you see AI playing a role in accessibility?
Yeah, I think it's I think what was that? What was that? Oh, Excessive B.
Yeah.
Is that was that the
Overlay.
name?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we have to be like that's a good example for the industry to and for those who don't know, it's like I think they were using, correct me if I'm wrong, they were using AI to sort of add uh accessibility tags and area labels and things to websites, and then they were kind of saying, "Oh, we'll make your website accessible for you," but then it didn't work half the time, and um, they made a lot of money, and then got sued and went down in like a ball of fire. But
Yeah.
uh, so I think tools are getting better, but there's not a trust and verify. There's use something, figure out how it works, figure out how well it works, test the hell out of it, and then ship it. But I think we have to be really careful about the claims we can make about it. Like I don't know if I took one of those audio applications and um, spend some time with it. Maybe with the AI tooling, I could make it accessible more quickly. But there's still the larger systemic problem of okay, someone who develops that software has to care, and they have to go do it themselves or hire someone to do it. And But maybe the bar to doing that is lowering, and that's a good thing.
Well, that was one of my questions. If you can look at an application that your product is having some issues making accessible or giving a user access to, how much control do you actually have over the AI product, which belongs to Anthropic, to tailor it, to customize it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a delicate dance. We've gone too far sometimes where we've said, hey, in this situation, when you don't have focus on this application, try to click it first and then scroll and then do this. And we try to add a bunch of these custom rules, which sometimes work. And then the new model comes around and it actually could do that without us saying it and has even other ideas. So it's kind of like every time the new models come out, it's playing around with them, figuring out whether we need to make any tweaks,
Right.
And whether we can kind of trust it with something new, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So before we start to wrap up, I'm just curious to hear about, what's on the roadmap that you can talk about. What are you guys sort of working on in terms of the next phase for Guide?
Yeah, so definitely a verbosity, verbosity setting, but I think one thing that there's a couple things that we think are interesting. One would be like, hey, could you limit Guide to only seeing one window on your screen, just as a kind of an advanced privacy setting? Could you? And then one that I'm really excited about, which would love to do, would be audio input as well. So right now it's only text-based input. So I think if we had audio input, it could maybe be a useful tool for people. To make it easier for everyone to use it, but then it could also maybe help someone who had a mobility impairment who didn't have like full use of their hands, maybe
Right.
to use the tool and be able to speak to it if they couldn't use a keyboard. So that's something that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, that would be really great functionality for sure.
Yeah, especially because, some of us are so used to typing in or using voice with our ChatGPTs or whatever AI we're using of the day. And depending on how long your prompt is, I'll tell you, I'd rather speak to it than type it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I speak to it all the time. I don't even I just turn on the little microphone and I have to talk because, those prompts. I'm surprised that ChatGPT hasn't just given me the middle finger.
I'm sure internally it's just like, oh no.
It's like, oh my God, she is so unreasonable.
Now do it again this way. No, again this way.
That would be awesome.
No, the elbow doesn't bend that way, dummy. I guess calling it names doesn't help either.
April Fool's is coming up. Can you create a sarcastic Guide AI?
You help me record the video, okay? You can do the guy voice.
We'll do it too. Well, listen, if people are interested in checking out Guide, what's the best way that they can check it out?
Yeah, head to guideinteraction.com. We've got updates there. We're notoriously bad at social media, but we've got, you can download the app there, try it out for yourself. There's a trial. And if you have any issues, you can just, email support@guideinteraction.com. We love hearing from people, even if you don't try the app, but you just have kind of thoughts or questions about it. Feel free to message us.
And you guys have a Discord server or anything like that? Like, how do you sort of interact, or Slack? How do you interact with your community? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, we have a Slack. So feel free to message us, see if you're interested. We can add you to that as well.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for joining us and talking about Guide. Come back anytime if you have any announcements or you just want to chat some more about accessibility. We're always happy to have you.
Great. Rob, Ryan, Liz, thank you so much for having me. It was great talking to you. Bye.
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 Well, there you go. AI to the rescue once again.
Adios,
Yeah,
amigo.
it's not going to be long before we have, I think, a voice interactive operating system where we'll be able to use our voice to do everything we want to do. Email, text, word processing. We're close. There's applications that are working on it, but we're not quite there yet.
I don't know, dude. Like, isn't Microsoft's trying to do that with Copilot? They're trying to make Copilot. I think nobody wants it. So I don't know.
And I think there's still, like I say, AI is not there yet. I listen to a bunch of different podcasts like the rest of you. And there's, this week people are in love with Copilot, and next week they hate Copilot, and now they're on Claude. Or now, Claude's leading in the App Store right now, or it was a week ago. Oh, but now ChatGPT's back at the top again, right? Everybody's flip-flopping between AIs. Nothing is settled right now. So,
and it's not even technologically based, right? Like look at OpenAI a few weeks ago, right? Like that was a political thing that made OpenAI like fall out of favor, and everybody is like, oh no, I'm switching to Claude. So it's the industry is very, very evolving. But it's interesting to hear, for Andrew, where that's exciting for them. It's not really a hindrance. So it's a very interesting landscape that's always changing.
Do either of you guys have Ring doorbells?
No,
I have a video doorbell, but it's not Ring.
Okay, so Ring is rolling out their new AI tool feature, whatever. It was just like forced on us. Like all of a sudden, I'm getting all these alerts, and then I was like, "What is it? What is going on with my damn cameras?" Like it was just bugging out, and it started telling me, "We see a black UPS truck.
Yep.
You have a delivery," and I'm like, I don't have a delivery. So it is making all of these assumptions. Like, did you see a nice strapping dude come out of the UPS truck carrying a big ass package, walking up my driveway into my front door and leaving it? No, it's just seeing a truck and saying, "Oh, you have a package."
Right.
wow,
Things like that must have happened like 4 times today. And I had to actually switch off the AI feature. I said, no, no.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, and it's great that it'll give you that description, but it still needs to be fine-tuned, right? Because it's great to know, like my doorbell says, you have a package, right? Or it dings or alerts me when there's activity near the door, which is great, but it doesn't tell me anything.
But this was saying, because it saw a UPS truck on the road,
assumed it was for
that
you.
that I have a package.
Yeah.
There were a lot of UPS and Amazon trucks that go up and down my street.
Sure.
All throughout the day. And I was like, okay, it's been an hour and it thinks I have 4 deliveries.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I wanted to hurt somebody.
You need to change the field of view that your camera's seeing. Bring it in closer to your hut.
It has nothing to do with that. It's that because it sees a truck on the street that I have a package.
Right.
But it's not even taking into effect that I'm like, well, I have like 3 other linked cameras. Do you see a person actually making a delivery? So the AI is just taking one teeny breadcrumb of information and then now making the assumption saying, oh, you have a delivery. No, I don't have a delivery.
Well, and that's a whole other conversation. But because I do think that it is it feels like an AI gold rush out there. It feels like every single product's just like, oh my God, like how can we plug AI into our product to make it even more appealing or even cooler? And without stopping to think that we don't actually need this. Like nobody wants this and it's not needed. And especially when you consider, the ridiculous, power consumption around AI, like
and that's starting to cause a ripple now too.
Yeah, right. Like we literally can't
not
put
sustainable
AI into everything. Like I think companies have to be a lot more selective in what they're plugging AI into and the value of that, because that's ridiculous. We probably lost a lake. We had to drain a whole lake in order to tell Liz, a bunch of
my 4 false alarm packages.
Which makes you wonder, though, about, A, the current models aren't sustainable, and B, what happened to apps like DeepSeek? Remember when DeepSeek hit the scene, it was very, very energy efficient, was very, very minimal on resources, and was outpacing ChatGPT, Gemini, and the others. Like it was revolutionary, but then it faded away really quickly, and we don't hear about it now.
It's a good question.
So
yeah, I assume
efficiency,
it's still out there.
yeah, efficiency needs to be top of mind as well because, yeah, we don't have the oceans to cool these data farms.
Well, and they keep talking about, and I won't go on about this because we go on for another hour, but I mean, they do say that, this is a bubble. It is an AI bubble and it will burst like the .com bubble burst, back in the early 2000s. And then, it kind of regulated, we found our place. But yeah, I think that companies need to stop like just trying to plug AI into everything that we don't need. Like we don't need an intelligent fridge.
Well, we have guitar amps with AI now as well. Like I can't turn a knob, hit a button.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, but I do think that it will regulate, it will.
It has to, yeah.
Equal out. I think it probably will burst at some point, and we're just going to realize that there are limitations on what we're going to be able to use AI for, just because of the energy consumption issues, and the cost will become sort of prohibitive. Is probably what will happen.
Well, that's the way. It's the way it's always worked.
Yep.
There's always been format wars, right? Whether it's beta VHS, whether it's name your two brands. There's always one that wins, and there's always one that falls by the wayside, right? Kellogg's, they become a name brand, right? Everybody recognizes Kellogg's. It's going to be the same with AI. We can't have 25 different AI models out there. That just won't last. Somebody will be the top dog at some point.
Yeah, I guess so. Sure. Yeah.
That's the way history's always worked. There's always been a format war, and somebody comes out on top.
But we don't need AI in our doorbells. And I don't know, man. I don't know that I want my computer judging me.
Oh, you just want the AI girlfriend. We know that's coming.
Well, of course. I mean, that.
Like, I know it's here, but I know it's coming to your house one day soon.
Wow.
She's already here, Rob. All I can do is order her.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get right on that. I can just use ChatGPT to code the software for it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, see, it's thinking outside the box, right?
Look at you.
All right. Well, let's get out of here.
Let's go.
Hey, Liz.
Hey, Rob.
Where can people find us?
They can find us at atbanter.com.
Hey, they can also.
Does anybody pay for that domain still? Is it still there?
God, I hope so. Sure. Yeah, no, I think Steve's paying for it.
Perfect.
They can also drop us an email if they so desire at cowbell. Wow, what happened?
That was dainty.
It was dainty.
Wow.
I came in hard and fast when we did the intro.
Man, that was not like mine. My hell hath no fury like a woman scorned cowbell. But okay.
I'm working back into this gently.
Okay, fair enough. Cowbell at atbanter.com is where people can email us.
And they can also find us on social medias if they so desire.
Sure.
Instagram, Facebook.
All that stuff.
Mastodon.
All that jazz. All right. Well, I think that's going to about do it for us this week. Big thanks, of course, to Andrew for joining us. And we'll see everybody next time.
This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions, as well as physical access solutions and augmentative communication aids across Canada. Find us online at www.canastech.com, or if you're in the Vancouver Lower Mainland, visit our storefront at number 106 828 West 8th Avenue in Vancouver. That's one block off Broadway at Willow. You can reach us by phone toll-free at 1-844-795-8324 or by email at sales@canastech.com.